Can you imagine a city without Uber or Lyft? That's the reality for Minneapolis. In a startling turn of events, the ride-hailing giants Uber and Lyft have announced their departure from Minneapolis, Minnesota, set to take effect on May 1, 2024. This decision is a direct response to a new ordinance passed by the Minneapolis City Council, an ordinance that aims to increase wages for rideshare drivers. The companies argue that these new regulations make it impossible for them to operate profitably in the city, sparking a fierce debate over the future of the gig economy and minimum wage laws. So, you might ask, but what does this new law entail that forced these giants to pack their bags? Let's delve into it. The minimum wage law in Minneapolis is a game changer. It's shaking up the rideshare industry by setting a new standard for driver pay. Let's break it down. The law stipulates that rideshare drivers must be paid a minimum of $1.40 per mile and 51 cents per minute. Additionally, each ride should net them at least $5, regardless of distance or duration. Why these specific numbers, you ask? Well, the City Council designed this structure to ensure that even after accounting for expenses, rideshare drivers would bring home at least the city's minimum wage. That's a cool $15.57 per hour. But despite these seemingly fair provisions, ride-hailing giants Uber and Lyft are not on board. They argue this law makes their operations in Minneapolis unfeasible. But why? Uber and Lyft believe the new law makes their services unaffordable. The crux of the argument from these ride-hailing giants revolves around two key points: the unpredictability of ride lengths and the increased driver pay. Let's break it down. Firstly, they point to the variable nature of ride lengths. In bustling urban areas like Minneapolis, short trips are more common. These quick jaunts around the city might not generate enough revenue under the new minimum to cover both driver wages and company expenditures, putting the companies in a financial bind. Secondly, there's the increased driver pay. While the intent of the law is to ensure fair compensation, Uber and Lyft argue that this mandated minimum wage slices into their profit margins. This makes it challenging to maintain their business model without hiking up prices, potentially making ride-hailing services a luxury that few can afford. This decision doesn't just affect Uber and Lyft, it impacts the residents of Minneapolis too. The exit of Uber and Lyft could disrupt life as we know it in Minneapolis. With these two ride-hailing giants out of the picture, residents might face a grim reality of reduced ride availability. Especially during peak hours or in certain parts of the city, finding a ride could become a challenge. The vacuum created by Uber and Lyft's departure might be filled by other ride-hailing companies or taxi services. However, this could lead to increased fares as these providers try to meet the demand gap. Another consequence could be a heavier reliance on public transportation. This could mean overcrowded buses and trains, and inconvenience for those who are unable to use them for various reasons. The Minneapolis situation raises important questions about the future of ride-hailing services and minimum wage regulations. Could this be a turning point for the gig economy and minimum wage regulations? A question that resonates as we envision a future where the tussle between ride-hailing giants and lawmakers might become increasingly common. Let's ponder on some plausible scenarios. First, there's the likelihood of legal challenges. Uber and Lyft might contest the minimum wage law, arguing it infringes on their business model. Will this lead to a landmark decision that could redefine the gig economy? Next, there's the potential for negotiation and compromise. Both sides might find common ground, devising a solution that ensures fair wages for drivers while allowing companies to remain profitable. Could this result in a win-win situation, or will one side have to concede more? Finally, we cannot ignore the industry-wide impact. This situation could set a precedent, influencing other cities considering similar minimum wage regulations for rideshare drivers. Are we on the brink of witnessing a domino effect rippling through the ride-hailing industry? Only time will tell how this situation unfolds and what it means for the future of ride-hailing services in major cities.